This is an intro and update to the Grim Dawn Infinity mod. It is a custom mod that started pretty much from scratch, creating a completely unique game world, modified all of the skills and equipment and pretty much everything in the game. It's using the modding tools that are available from the Grim Dawn package. You will need the original game and possibly the expansions in order to play this mod. But those are the tools that the original developers, which are still working on the game a bit, used to basically create the game. And one of the advantages of using something like that as a mod versus just creating your own, there's several huge advantages to creating something like this. One is that the assets are already done. So these are the original assets from the game, and you can place, size, and move this stuff around. But mainly that it doesn't require any coding. There is some, if you want to get into quests and things like that, which I have started to do a little bit of for NPCs to at least have some kind of startup text and intro to the game. But most of the development on there that I'm doing, at least for right now, is more of just editing databases and making adjustments to things that are kind of already there, or creating my own, such as improving the AI a little bit on things like creatures healing and things like that. Right now, this will look rather simple and easy because I'm level 92 and kind of just killing some lower level stuff right now. When you initially start the game, even these lowest level mobs are going to be rather difficult. And when I get to the further sections on here, you'll see that it begins to get a lot more tougher than this. The equipment on here is currently being upgraded again. I started out with some very basic stuff, but I don't really think that's adequate for a release. I do plan on releasing this pretty soon here. I just don't have an exact date yet because there's a few things that need to be done just to make it feel more playable, as still kind of maybe an early alpha or beta as far as a full game is concerned. But at least to have the base equipment so you can kind of, get the appropriate level of equipment and things like that that are set up along with the skills. Now the skills on that, one of the things, I did change up the classes a bit, and there's a main reason for that. One is that a lot of the range skills, if you're allowed to just spam that, you don't really ever have to engage with a lot of stuff. You can just kind of, kite things around forever. And it seems to be a little bit too easy. The idea of this is going to be a little bit tougher. Once you get a little bit further on here, they will start to do a little bit more projectiles and CCs and stuff like that. So it will get substantially tougher. It's also meant that there's a few creatures, which one I'll come up to down here a little bit. And there's actually, well, there's several. There's down here, the poisons on these are actually quite strong. So stuff like this is a little bit of a mess fighting that at the, well, I guess I'm a little too high even for that now. These were in the beginning quite difficult. This is just a level issue that I've kind of, surpassed them. But a lot of this stuff will still be quite a bit of a challenge on here. There is a fair amount of the mapping is already complete. I do plan on just expanding on that and improving a lot of the detailed features and kind of focusing on some of the main stuff that that's really more important to a game, such as the balance and the skills and the drops and things like that players are really more focused on. Everything on here is free. I did create a Patreon, and I do have a PayPal and Venmo and a couple of those things. So I will be trying to do that a little bit to help get a little bit of support for doing this. It does take quite a few hours. It's honestly going to be several thousand hours going into this in order to really get everything up to pace. So that's one of the things that I will need to promote, just kind of like everybody else on there. But it is a free product. So you can, once this is available, just download it as a mod. You will need the base game for that. but the mod will be free and available to play. Any type of support or subscribing and stuff like that is just on you guys to show support for it if you want to see additional development and stuff going into it. As far as requests and things like that, I do listen to what people are saying on it, but right now I'm just really kind of looking at making this ready and available. And then some of the features like the devotion system, upgrading that, and maybe tweaks and suggestions and stuff will be further along on that. One of the things on here is going to be the skill menu. I'm basically probably just going to block out a lot of this stuff, because what this is now is these are pulled from a lot of different classes. So you'll see skills that don't necessarily belong to soldier listed in soldier and arcanist. There's just kind of the one, and I'm going to start updating this, but I'll probably block all these off, and then anything that doesn't have, like a lot of these ones that are the defaults, will probably be canceled out until they're properly updated. These again will have higher upper limits. Will probably push this. I'm setting 250 as kind of the minimum for the default on that, because you're leveling so much, you're going to be gaining a lot more points. So you can really kind of specialize in these. And then there's several factors to them about making them more efficient, more damage, more CC, better land rate, the standard type of stuff on there, making them a little bit unique. But if you specify in something like freeze type skills, you'll still have the same thing as like what you would in the base game, but increasing that skill will also increase your land rate and stuff on it, not just equipment. Between these two, honestly, I don't know that I'm going to do too many other classes on there, because it takes a lot of time to move those around and to make use of that. And there's a lot of skills that I found that just aren't really conducive to what I'm doing. And this still allows you to do quite a few skills. The idea is to make it more of an action combat. So I know that the base game kind of is already, but some of these skills like this, where you can just kind of spam through a bunch of the different skills, but they're not going to be things where you just spam, your fire arrow and just do that over and over and over. The idea is to really make skill rotations, skills that work, skills that are used on specific mobs, more importantly, than doing that. Like this is a lot tougher of a mob here, also because he blocks so much. But again, I am reached a certain level that most of this earlier stuff still isn't all that bad. There is stuff that will just kill me instantly on here, but for most of this is working out a little better. I still don't want to run into a bunch of stuff, but I'm just sufficient level of that. So other than that, this is just about ready. There's quite a bit of stuff here. So I'm going to have to look into preparing all that stuff for getting it out there. But again, there's a few things. I'm kind of working on the starter zone. It is a little bit difficult when you start. You will want to kill just some of the undead, even the skeletons and stuff like this in the very beginning. They're actually quite tough. You just miss a lot and don't do a whole lot of damage. So it takes a little bit getting used to. The drop system is a little bit unique on here. I think what I'm actually going to end up going with is kind of a little bit of a trick on the back end, where there's actually multiple different types. So if you get like a rusty axe, there's actually 2 or 3 variants of that. And that will kind of automatically create a little bit of a randomizer. It doesn't use the standard one that's built into the system, where you kind of set all the affixes and stuff. There will still be kind of an affix on it, which kind of determines like what the base stats are of something. But that system kind of really leaves it open to where it's a very kind of generic system on equipment. This is a little more specified. It does a little more work for it, but it really allows you to say like there's basically, if you get this weapon, there's 3 or 4 types of it. And that's the specific thing that you're going to get. You're only going to get these 3 variances of that. This here is a little rougher as far as something that, this is one of the default ones, so I haven't really modified some of the stuff, but as you can see here, like this is more kind of what you're typically dealing with in the game of trying to fight for survival. Also, some of these priests, they have increased. I did increase the AI on them a little bit, or at least just the skills that they do. So they will support healing each other on that, and healing other mobs. So you can control all the specifics on there about how often they cast the skill, what their preferences and stuff like that. So I just wanted to give everybody kind of an update on here. I did debate kind of showing off the editor or all the terrain and stuff in there, but I'm not really so certain about that because I'd kind of like to keep some of the stuff hidden, let people kind of play around and search and find their own stuff and kind of see how it is. So I think that's about all for now. I will be doing regular updates on here and kind of showing, especially in the next few weeks on here, to get a lot of updates going and get it released and get some feedback and stuff on it, see how people are liking it. If it's too tough in the beginning, what things that they have to suggest. So I would recommend you subscribe if you want to get some updates on that and see what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. And I did create a Patreon here, which is the Mordor 3. So if you'd like to contribute, you can do it from there. And there'll be links for PayPal and Venmo and stuff as well being sent out. So I hope you enjoyed that and look forward to this. I hope to really make this into something that's a lot more than just a standard mod. A lot of the mods are just, modifying a certain thing. This is using the mod tools, but it's honestly kind of creating its own entire game. I'd like to see kind of how far we can go with that. So thank everyone for